Greyson comes, he helps her with the party because she wanted to cook for her friends. That makes her happy to do it for them. And she gave him a key to her place. Greyson and her friends got along great, which I figured they would because he's a laid back, cool person. After the dinner, they bring her out this big chocolate cake with like her name and pink icing. And Katya's all like, what did you wish for? And she looks at Greyson and she's just like, I wish for you. That was so sweet. Then Greyson asks her, he's getting nominated for an award. I think it's called the Spirit Award, if I'm not mistaken. It's an architectural award for his design of the Children's Library in London. And so, of course, he wants her to come, be his +1. She goes, no, can't do it. And he looks immediately hurt. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I just, I can't do it. I'm not ready to go back to London. And he's like, I understand. I don't want you doing anything you don't want to do. I'll just ask Isabelle to go. That hurt her. I don't think that he could have meant to hurt her. I don't think he really meant to hurt her when he said it. He was used to taking Isabelle to certain things like this. So it was just kind of like, okay, I'll just take Isabelle. Not realizing that in her brain, she's wondering like, fuck, are they still fucking? Because he has such this cavalier attitude about sex. Like, is he still messing with her? Like, are they going to have this nice event and then just going to be with her? So now she's starting to spiral a little bit. But it's also forcing her to think. She's realizing, I'm still giving Mark power over me. Like, this is my boo, and I'm literally not going to be to a very important night, which I think they described as like the Oscars for, in the architect world. I'm going to miss his important night because I'm still allowing this other person to control me. And so when she thinks about it like that, on top of the fact, I think what really sent her over the edge was thinking about Greyson fucking Isabelle. She calls Isabelle. She finds the number for Isabelle's gallery, calls her. And Isabelle was like, you know what? I got an idea. So Isabelle's plan is that Lisa's going to come into town. And then when Greyson shows up at Isabelle's house, Lisa's the one who's going to take him to the award ceremony. So it's going to be a whole surprise. So while they're having lunch, because Lisa comes into London, comes into the city, and she's in, she realizes she really does miss her city. She really misses it. And so her and Isabelle are having lunch. And Isabelle asks her, are you still painting? And she, of course, is like, yes. And Isabelle, can I see any of your work? And so she pulls it up on her phone. And Isabelle looked at it and she was like, these are absolutely amazing. Would you ever consider letting me show your work in my gallery? And Lisa was flattered, but admitted she was afraid to try and have a career as an artist because of Mark. And so Isabelle came up with the idea, maybe we can do it anonymously if you like. And we can have Greyson be the person going in between. And that way you can stay in Port Huron. And so Lisa was like, I don't know. Just let me think about it. So Greyson comes to pick up Isabelle. And the truth is, he's not in the best mood because he had to kind of pep himself up before he reached the door. Because he was kind of like, because he really didn't want to go without Lisa. He didn't want to really be there without her. And he was like, but at the same time, he was very appreciative that Isabelle was going to go with him. So he's like, let me get my attitude together. So he couldn't even knock on the door. Isabelle opens the door and she's dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. And he's like, why aren't you ready? She's like, well, I made other plans. And he's pissed because he's like, why didn't you tell me? And she's like, I got a replacement for you. Don't worry about it. And he's like, no, I don't want a replacement. But then she takes him around the corner. He sees Lisa. He's super excited. They go into the car. He's about to fuck her, but he's like, I don't want to mess up your dress and your hair. So he gets even better news because Lisa was like, yeah, by the way, I'm staying for a whole week. So she had asked Martha just for like a day or two, and Martha was like, take the week off. So he's happy, of course. He wins the award. She has a wonderful time at the event. When they got back to his place, he told her that he loved her. She said it back to him. And then he started eating her pussy. And then, of course, they spend the whole night making love over and over again. So the next morning, Isabelle comes over to drop off Lisa's suitcase. So then Isabelle and Lisa talk for a few minutes, and then Greyson comes downstairs because right before Isabelle left, she was just like, oh, well, tell Greyson I'll see him next week. Well, when she had a conversation with Isabelle earlier the day before, Isabelle had said that the next week she had a whole orgy to go to. So Lisa's freaking out because she's thinking like, oh my gosh, they're going to an orgy together. And so now she's panicking, right? So Greyson comes downstairs. He sees Isabelle's like, hey, Isabelle, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And so then she had said something about, she said a few more words, and that was kind of the end of it. I'll see you next week. And she left. So then we got to have a conversation because Lisa's flipping out a little bit. And so she was like, what kind of appointment do you have with her next week? And I think it was like a showing. There's an artist that he likes their work, and she's gonna give him like a private tour before everyone else. And she's like, oh, okay. And he's like, well, why? Like, what's wrong? And so then she tells him, she had told me she was going to an orgy. I thought that's what you all were going to. And he was just like, wait a minute, what? Why would you think that? Like, Lisa, no, nothing like that, Greyson tells her, it's just you and me. I thought you understood that when I said I wanted us to try this. I meant just you and me. There's no one else. I'm not sleeping with Isabelle anymore. That stopped, And that, of course, gives her some relief. Poor thing. Because little girl was spazzing a little bit. So then they go to the hot tub because I don't think they had ever been in the hot tub. So they have their fun, and then they have a discussion about her wanting to move back to London. And Greyson just wanted to make sure that, she isn't rushing herself, and that, she's not doing it because she's thinking he's doing something, And Lisa was like, no. It's not that. I really have missed it here. This is my home, and I really feel like, this is just time for me to come back. And they also talked about the fact that she wanted to use her name for her artwork and really pursue an art career. And so for that, she wants to come back. So the next day while Greyson's at work, she goes to find her friend Susie, and she knows where, which is a college friend of hers. And she knows where Susie works. And so then they have a meeting. She was kind of concerned with seeing Susie because she thought, oh my gosh, what if she's mad at me because of what happened? But when Susie saw her, Susie was so excited, so happy. And so when they sat down and they had lunch, she was like, we just didn't know what to do. We were afraid for you, but we did not know what to do, And they have a conversation about Rose, and apparently everyone knows she's with Mark now, but that she's pretty much estranged from her friends. Same bullshit. It's the same type of bullshit. He's doing it all over again. And they're going to catch up with Daniel, their other friend, as well. So, and I think it's on that Friday. They're going to have drinks. So she's telling Greyson about her day, and he's loving it, which made her happy. Because he's happy for her. He wants her to have a life and friends and, a full life. Which is how a person is supposed to want you to have a full life. So she decides that she is definitely going to move back to London. And her and Greyson have a discussion about the bills. She's like, I want to contribute. I don't want you just handling everything. She's like, I'll pay half the mortgage. She's like, I don't have a mortgage. She's like, well, half the utilities. Like, I want it to be, I want to help out. So he agrees. I think their split was like, I don't know, if it wasn't 50-50. It might have been like 60-40 or some shit. It wasn't, but it was a fair enough amount. And she agreed to it. She has a great night out with her friends. Daniel knows of a studio that she can rent, for her to paint. It's in the same building where he is, that he has a studio to paint in. And so she, of course, takes it. It's the night of the show. And before this show, Isabelle had asked, Lisa, hey, do you want me to invite Mark? And she was like, you know what? He's in the art world. I'm going to have to see him eventually. We might as well just get it over with. So he's invited. So now we're at her show. And Mark comes over with Rose. And Mark is like, oh, Lisa, this is wonderful work. I always thought, you just need a little bit more time to develop. And she was like, you said my work was garbage. She couldn't battle him in a game of wits because she just can't. It's almost like he still has like a mind control fuck over her. And she just gets stuck because she can't believe the audacity of him to like try and make it seem like she was the problem or she did some shit. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's how he operates. So he's like, oh yeah, I'm really happy you took my advice and you developed, because now look, the work is it's amazing. I was like, he is a ballsy dude, but what can you expect? Lisa wanted to talk to Rose, so she kept trying to kind of look and see, look for an opportunity to talk to her, and she wasn't paying attention, and Mark came up behind her, and kind of Isabelle saw she was uncomfortable, so Isabelle kind of came and got her and like whisked her away so she'd be free from him. So then finally she sees Rose in the washroom, and they have a conversation, and she's basically just telling her, if you ever need anyone, I'm here, X, Y, and Z. Rose, of course, she's in this relationship. She's like, you're just jealous. Mark told me what you did. He told me you cheated on him with Greyson, and then you left him, and all you left him was a text message. And just, of course, he had turned everything completely around, because of course he is. He's not gonna sit up there and say he was the fucking problem, So she was like, that's not what happened, but again, I know how it is to be with him, and again, if you ever need someone, I'm here. And she's like, we're not friends. You don't need to worry about me. At that point, bitch, I'm done. I told you, it is what it is. Done. So she leaves. She goes talk to Greyson, and Greyson told her, hey, you can't make her listen. It is what it is. So all of her work sold out. So it was a super successful show. The next day at her studio, she gets 24 roses, which she thought was from Greyson. But the note said, congratulations on last night. You were stunning, Lisa. All my love, Mark X. So she doesn't tell Greyson about the flowers, and she doesn't want to because she doesn't want to upset him or worry him. But then Mark keeps sending red roses, accompanied with letters telling her how much he loves her and misses her. And so the letters keep coming, and the letters get more and more graphic. This is where I'm like, you fucked up. I will give her the first time he sent the flowers, because she knows that he does that with any artist. They have a great opening, he sends flowers. He's even had her send the flowers when she was his assistant, right? So I will give you that you don't tell Greyson about it. But the fucking minute you start getting letters about, I think she should have said something with the first letter, don't get me wrong, but I can understand a little bit of her reasoning with thinking, okay, maybe it's not that big of a deal. But the absolute fucking minute you got that next letter where this motherfucker talking about he love you and he miss you and he wants you, that's when you should have said something. Trying to keep this shit, bottled up and take care of it. You're not good at this shit. But she keeps trying to not have her problems spill out to other people. And I do understand that logic. I do. But this shit got creepy. And what happened was, once you don't say anything, when you get 2 or 3 letters, now you feel like you're too deep in, because none of the letters he's saying anything that's threatening. Okay, he does say things like, I can't live without you. I don't know, I kind of feel like that's a little threatening, because what that mean? You gonna take me out? You trying to blame me for if you take yourself out? I don't like that type of verbiage. So those type of things I felt like were trigger words, but again, it's something she should have started talking to Greyson about. This is who you're in a relationship with. This is starting to happen. But I feel like she felt like, I'm too deep in now. If I go now and show him, he's going to be like, why the fuck did you wait all this time to tell me what the fuck's been going on? So now she's paranoid. and she doesn't want to say anything, but at the same time, girl's like, I need to fucking say something, because those last letters, when they got graphic, they were nasty. It was like he was describing how he used to fuck her and how he used to like to do anal with her. She hated it, but he loved it. And he's describing it in the letters, you know? So now he knows her. He knows how embarrassed she would be for someone else to see that. So even more so, that keeps her from doing what? From